What is up, Buffalo Fanatics? Z-Bot, Zoe, Rico to be here momentarily. Live on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel on a mother effing Buffalo Bills game day. It's the pregame tailgate getting you set for a Week 14 showdown between the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen and the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow, live from Orchard Park at 1 p.m. Eastern, a massive game for both teams. Implications galore throughout the NFL this Sunday, including in this high-powered AFC matchup. The Cincinnati Bengals coming in at 4-8, needing to win to keep their slim playoff chances alive. The Buffalo Bills coming in with the opposite record of 8-4, looking to continue to make things interesting in this wild AFC playoff picture. Season ends today. The Buffalo Bills would be the 7th seed. Who knows where they wind up at this given point, the way things have been folding out. But you got to keep stacking wins. We'll see what happens to New England. Slim chance of the AFC East available. I think we can all come to terms by now that that's pretty much come and gone, but hey, you never know. We've seen crazier things, so you just got to keep winning football games, and in this one, you're lined up to do so. 6-point favorite at home, or the Buffalo Bills have only lost one home football game in the regular season the last 2 years. This is a spot you got to win, right? This is a spot, if you want to continue to prove that this team is capable of being able to go into the postseason and get it done, this is a game you have to win, Joe Burrow or not. This team's 4-8. They have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, maybe the worst pass defense, maybe the worst run defense, maybe the worst defense. It's at home, a place that you have played historically phenomenal. The Joe Burrow situation, yes, it is what it is. That this team was also scoring 35, 40 points without Joe Burrow. To me, this comes down to what is the Buffalo Bills offense going to be able to put on the scoreboard today. This Bengals offense was putting up points with and without Joe Burrow. They're going to score points more than likely. Can you keep them below 30? Can you score 30 plus if you're the offense of the Buffalo Bills? To me, you do those two things, you're winning the football game. Now, if Cincinnati gets into the 30s here, the Buffalo Bills offense better have showed up, because if not, I think you can tell where this one's going to go. The Bills have got to find a way to exploit that defense. The New York Jets found a way to exploit that defense. Really, everybody in the NFL has found a way to exploit it. Bears put up 47. That Bears game in particular is interesting to me because it's a perfect example of how to beat this team. The Bengals scored 42 points in that game. Joe Flacco had nearly 500 yards. It didn't matter. They lost the game because the Chicago Bears scored 47 points. We know the Bills are capable of scoring 40 plus. And in a game that was a shootout type game against a weaker defense, Tampa Bay comes to mind, right? They were able to do it there impressively against the Carolina Panthers, a defense that's been down and out. Baltimore Ravens in week 1, a couple of 40-point games there. It'll be interesting with the weather too. We'll see. There's part of me that thinks this is going to be lower scoring than most people think, because I do believe the run game should be a priority in this football game for both sides. We'll see if it ends up being that. I mean, I genuinely think the Bills should go out and try to pound the rock the way that they did last week. We'll see if it works. Why not take a look and see if you can do that? Because if you can, you're not losing many football games when you have a time of possession of 40-plus minutes and you're running for 250 yards. I'm not saying it's going to come that easy, but this is a very bad run defense. It's not like you're playing the number one run defense in the NFL and you're trying to replicate what you did against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're going into a game where you'd think if you had an opportunity to do it, you might be able to do it again here. I would at least try that out early in the football game to see what that's going to look like. And if you're ripping off 5-6 yards of carry, we know Joe Brady is going to continue to go back to it. Right now in Buffalo, 30 degrees is the temperature. Light to moderate snow expected. This is December Buffalo football. Last time the Buffalo Bills hosted Joe Burrow and company at that stadium, very similar type weather. Does that factor in to the pass game? We shall see. One thing we do know that could factor into the pass game is the inactive list released by the Buffalo Bills. Before we dive into it, let's bring in my brother Rico. And Rico, I'm glad you're here. Perfect timing because we're going to dive into the inactives. The one guy that's not on the inactive, Dalton Kincaid. Now, we talked about this on Friday. It kind of seemed 50-50, right? Is he going to play? Is he not? Well, 6-7 on it. The thing is, though, Rico, he is active. That's great. How much productivity do you expect from Dalton Kincaid in this game, despite, the fact that he is active? Do you expect a focus on him from this Bills offense with how banged up he's been, missing the last several games?
If this is going by a strategic standpoint, and I'm trying to maximize as much as I can out of Kincaid, but also preserve what's left of his hammy and his knee, I'm trying to go for the gusto early with Kincaid. Get the most out of him. Try to get the sticks going. If we can get and build an early lead, we may not need to see him as often. We can now put in Leteku, and put in our guy Dawson Knox. But if you're gonna use him and you're gonna make him active, and he's gung-ho to go, get him early and involved, and get that knee loosened up. If the knee loosens up a little bit and he's feeling good, so be it. It's a cold day. Everybody's gonna be tight. Get use out of him early, and if we can build an lead, now you can let him rest, and now we can kind of pound that rock all day long and just eat the clock and hopefully get away with a W this day.
And I agree with you, because in my opinion, if he is not 100% to where you are going to try to feed him all game, then I think Dawson Knox needs the majority of the reps here. Last week in a game against the Baltimore Ravens, they couldn't do much offensively. You know what they could do, though? They could feed the rock to Isaiah Likely, the second tight end on that team, to Mark Andrews. I don't know if you caught that game. Isaiah Likely went off. Every time they targeted him, it was like a 25, 30-yard gain. He should have had a massive touchdown, Rico. He's the one who fumbled it out of the back of the end zone against Baltimore, or against Cincinnati. The tight ends have had field days against the Bengals. So I'm looking at this, and now look at, if he's healthy to the point where, and you're not expecting him to look like Gronk in this game, the way that the health has been, but if he's healthy enough to be a legitimate contributor each and every drive, this is a huge, huge pivotal piece of the ball game today for the Buffalo Bills. However, if he's going to be using this decoy type role, I'm not in on that. I think that the tight ends need to be focused in on throughout the football game. If you can't rely on Dalton Kincaid to give you that, then I think Dawson Knox needs the bulk share of the snaps here, because I just watched Isaiah Likely do it. I don't think it really matters you don't need to be a top 5 tight end, I think, to exploit this defense. And Dawson Knox is more than capable. And we know Josh Allen loves to go to him. But on the flip side of that, once again, though, if Kincaid's healthy enough to go, and I mean, he is playing, he hasn't played the last couple of weeks, so that has to tell you he's at least good enough to get out there. If they can get him fed today, Rico, that is, I've said it all week, I feel a lot differently about the Bills' ability to exploit this defense through the pass game, because this just adds a whole other element. But to that point, though, Rico, no Josh Palmer as was expected here. So even though you're without Palmer, you got Cooks, right, that was recently added. But the Dalton Kincaid addition here, this is a massive difference to me between being able to really get that pass game going and not. Oh, and by the way, additionally on offense, no Spencer Brown today. Deion Dawkins back, but no Spencer Brown today.
Okay, so, and I'm glad you brought the Spencer Brown, and I'm glad you stayed on the Kincaid situation, because you brought up Dawson Knox. I think we tend to, because we get so enamored with Kincaid, and we almost like throw Dawson Knox to the wayside, right? Dawson Knox is still a very good tight end, a viable tight end, and one that Josh Allen trusts. He may not get the bulk share of touches and opportunities that Kincaid will get, but when count on, he can still get the job done. So if Kincaid doesn't, things complicate in the first quarter and he's going too hard and it doesn't work out, Dawson Knox is very capable of coming in and doing a serviceable job. Like you said, they don't defend the tight ends very well, but he still can get the job done. Furthermore, right, to lament on that a little bit more, bringing in Dawson Knox can also help and aid the Ryan Vandermarks of the world that will be taken over at the right tackle position. And then, I assume he'll be the right tackle position, right tackle, because he's our swing. So Dawson Knox is going to get a lot of playing time today. And I believe that we're going to work that middle of that defense, and we'll see how it plays out. Now, Josh Palmer being out, call me crazy. I was on my way home from church today, and I was like, all right, what's this game going to be like, right? And I saw a clip of Josh Palmer limping into the locker room, and I was like, what are the odds that we get a big, huge game from Keon Coleman and a big game from Brandon Cooks? Just the outside receivers, and all of a sudden, something that has never been there. The Bengals try to defend James Cook, try to stack the box like our guys Zim and Ace were trying to say, put 8 and 9 guys in the box. We haven't shown that we could throw the football deep consistently. Now that we have Keon back, a hopefully motivated Keon, and a deep threat in Brandon Cooks, could there be room for all of a sudden explosion on the outside going up against a 32nd ranked defense? Why not? Something to kind of ponder upon. Your thoughts? Do you think, I know you touched on it, you're like, dude, what's Brandon Cooks going to do for us? What's Keon going to do? We are who we are. Do you still feel the same way, or could there be a sliver where you're like, well, maybe there could be something there?
Believe it when I see it. There is absolutely no way I can make a prediction of that type of outcome. What I can say, though, is I think that you have a setup to where Shakir can be successful in this game and Dalton Kincaid. I'd love to see incorporation in the pass game with the running backs as well, because I just think, once again, it's a pick your poison type situation right now for the Cincinnati Bengals defense, because if you bail out on the run, you're just as bad on the back end. If you bail out on the pass, you're just as bad on the run. So there's no way that I can see this Bills offense being completely stifled. So to your point, if they really try to sell out on the run here and take away what the Bills were able to do against Pittsburgh, then maybe you're right. Maybe there is an opening there for Coleman or Cooks, because they're still NFL wide receivers, right? If they're going to be left wide open, they're going to be involved in the football game. Kincaid being in this game, to me, though, is so big. I really did not think we were going to see him. I'm just hoping he's healthy enough to where we get enough out of him in this game to where he is a difference maker, because I've watched tight ends just pick apart this Cincinnati Bengals defense. So we'll see. I still am going to stick with my mindset that this game is going to revolve around James Cook. I think it should. I'm interested to see what it will be for the Bengals offense and their approach, because we talked about this. I just think that this should be a Chase Brown type game for them. I know Joe Burrow's back and you want to sling it, but that's kind of where I would start if I'm Zach Taylor, and then try to open things up. But we'll see. Flipping to the defensive side of things for Buffalo, Terrell Bernard out. So your main man, Shaq Thompson, is going to be getting more burn again today. And I know how much you've loved what we've seen from him. And I don't know how you couldn't. He's been probably the best linebacker over the last couple of weeks, or at least when he's been out there. He seems like he deserves more time out there. Pretty healthy, like in terms of the defensive side of things. Obviously, they have the year enders, but this going into this game, it feels like it could have been worse on the inactive list on the defensive side of things. Joey Bosa also out. But what do you make of this defense today? And what do you expect from them going up against this Cincy offense?
Tone setter. 45 in the middle of that defense is the tone setter. All right. He set the tone last week. He set the tone the week prior to that, before he actually returned and was really banging these dudes out, right? Paused the way I said that. That's kind of weird. But at the end of the day, he said no doubt. But at the end of the day, he's the tone setter, the guy in the middle of the defense that is not afraid to go after the run, not afraid to, this is the word I used. I was with my man, Carl Jones, and I said, there's something that that Shaq Thompson brings to this defense. And that's the ability to bring violence, and that's the ability to process quickly. He processes and brings violence. And when you have a guy that does those two things, it can only permeate with everybody else. And also, you got to understand, these Bengals are desperate. They're going to do everything under the sun to try to get this win and keep their playoff hopes alive. This is a playoff game for them. So let's use this atmosphere to set the tone. And by setting the tone, you got Christian Benford. He's on a tear right now. He's been playing extremely good football. You've got Shaq Thompson bringing in. He's going to bring that little bit of nastiness to that linebacker room. We are missing a little bit of element on the pass rush. Dare McDermott send the blitz, right? Get some kind of pressure going towards Joe Burrow, get him off his game. And that way there's a little bit of a disconnect between him and T. Higgins and him and Jamar Chase, because if you let these guys connect and get hot, it could be a long day for the Bills. So get them off their mark. We don't have the pass rush. I understand that. They're going to try to run the football with being a lot of snow going out there today, but get the pressure, and we'll get things going, man. Process, violence, let's roll. That's the way I look at it.
I'm concerned about the pressure today. That's the thing. I don't know if we'll see it. But with that, I do think, once again, this is going to be an opportunity for the Bills offense. And I said this before you came on. This is one of those games where, I mean, can we be honest? How many games recently where the Bills defense has kind of outplayed the offense if we're looking at the full landscape of the game? I mean, I think that there's been a few. I mean, really, you could argue that the Bills defense has really stepped up in spots. If I go back to the Atlanta game, or if I go back to, the Atlanta game to me is a perfect example, but you can also go to the Houston game as well, where the defense really steps up and the offense isn't able to take advantage of it. This seems like one of those games, Rico, where the offense really needs to step up and maybe the defense can take advantage of what the offense is doing, because I just feel like you've seen the template from Cincinnati all year long, where in order to really ensure a victory, you got to get into the high, you got to get in low 30 minimum. Maybe it's different today because of the weather, and you never know how any given game goes. But if I look at the survey, if I survey the whole landscape of Cincy's season, that's how I look at any given game against them. You want to go in there and score 30-plus points. So I'm looking at this game in particular, regardless of what the defense does. I think it's gravy. If the defense can get a pick or a couple of sacks or a game-altering play, I think that massively swings the game for either team. If we're looking at either side, that's why we talked about Friday. You can't turn the ball over if you're Buffalo in this game. You just cannot turn it over.
Correct.
You've turned it over multiple times in the last several games. You just cannot do that against this offense. Cincinnati's thinking the same thing, though. You can't do that against Buffalo. You can't. If you're Cincinnati, you can't do that against anybody, because everybody scores points against this team. We can't let the Baltimore Ravens game be the last thing, or I know it's the last thing we remember about Cincinnati. We can't let it be the only thing we remember, because Baltimore turned the ball over 5 times in that game. They only scored 14 points. The majority of the other games this year against Cincinnati, teams are piling up digits on the scoreboard. So that is what Buffalo needs to do today. I think the best defense is offense. They posted another slow motion Joe Burrow throwing the ball in the snow vid. Rico, did you happen to see that?
I haven't seen it yet.
And it's titled, by the way.
Pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it up.
It's on the Bengals Twitter. Pull it up.
All right.
And it says, Joe Burr, hashtag Pro Bowl vote Joe Burrow. How do you vote Joe Burrow into the Pro Bowl? He's played 2 games. The Pro Bowl has got to go. The Pro Bowl has got to go.
This is the delusion of some of these social media cats, right? They got to post. They got to post. So I'm on the site right now. I found it. Let me share my screen so I can give you guys the goods. It's the audacity to ask votes for for Joe Burrow when he just came back. Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Let me get this X going up here. It's not as majestic as the last one, but I mean, nonetheless, it is something to get the crowd going, right? A little bit of snow. He's feeling good.
I mean, look, I'm not a hater. Joe Burrow's got aura. You know, he's got that vibe to him. I'm not a hater. Like, I like Joe Burrow a lot. In fact, after I watched that quarterback series on Netflix, he's even more likable than you thought. I mean, he's like a super mama's boy, really good, big family guy. Like, he's really likable. No doubt. It's not his fault the social media team's posting hashtag Pro Bowl, you know? I think Joe Burrow probably be the first to tell you right now, I have played 2 games. You know what I mean? I don't think, but whatever.
Weather,
by the way.
Let me ask you going into this, because you mentioned the Bengals, you mentioned the Bills, and the way for these Bills to jump in and really get this dub is for them to actually do their job, right? Let the defense rest a little bit. Now you guys do what you're supposed to do. Let me flip it on you. I know you talk when I mentioned the Dolphins, instant get out of here. Give me something else. If I mentioned the Broncos to you, give me a break. When I mentioned the Bengals going into this game, what's your reaction? Because I haven't really got your reaction. I don't get fear, but I also don't get confidence. Where are you right now?
That's pretty much a good way to put it. I'm not fearful of their defense. I am fearful of their offense. So I guess in a good way, that's a probably perfect way to put it that you just said, where I'm 50-50. The ball's on two sides of the field. I'm 50-50 on both those sides of the ball. Okay. I think there's a couple things. The Bills have not played well against this team anytime they've played them with Josh Allen. They just haven't. So that's one thing. Another thing is there's something to be said about a team that's just playing with house money with nothing to lose, and they're inspired. They get Joe Burrow back. They dominate Baltimore. They have nothing to lose. If they lose today, they're a 6-point dog. No one's going to be shocked. Their season's going to be over. No one's going to be shocked because they had Joe Burrow out throughout the whole year. So everybody's already kind of written that in, but they still do have something to play for. So you can kind of play loose. And hey, it's all gravy if we wind up going on a run and making it. That's just incredible. But if we don't, who was really expecting it? So there's something to be said about that. This offense is extraordinary. We get that. My main thing here, which I love, is that the game's in Buffalo. I really do think that matters. The Bills have lost 3 of their 4 games on the road this year. In Buffalo today, the weather, interesting here. I want your thoughts there because this is the first snow game the Bills have had this year. Joe Burrow back in just his second game, and he's got to face the snow. So how you feeling about the weather impacting this football game?
Okay, so I'm so glad you brought this up because I was talking to my man, James the Mountain Man, and he was like, the advantage for the Bills is for us to run the football, and that's where we're going to get it. With the snow, this is great for Buffalo. We're going to run the football. We're going to this, that, and the third. Then I was like, hold on. My boy James he's right. But why did we draft Josh Allen? We drafted Josh Allen because he's big, strong, huge arm, and has played in the elements. This is a Josh Allen type game. This is where we need a guy like Josh Allen to really show us why you're here, right? Think about all the quarterbacks we've drafted in this place. We drafted E.J. Manuel because he was a big, strong guy and a strong arm that could cut through the wind and the snow and all of that junk. That didn't quite work out. We found our guy. This is why you're here, Josh Allen. Go ahead and show us what it's about. That's why in the new stadium, they didn't put a dome. They left that sucker open because he's the franchise. He's our guy. He's built for this. So show me how well you're built for this and go out and put belt to A on these Bengals, right? They've owned us. They owned us in that horrible DeMar Hamlin game, and they owned us in the playoffs. It's time. It's time to get your lick back. And how you get your lick back? By getting your general out there. If we're calling him the true winter soldier, show me, stand at attention, and let's go. Let's get this thing going, man. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing, right? Real question now becomes, can Keon, Khalil, Brandon Cooks help him? And this is why we want that rah-rah, at least for me, that rah-rah Josh Allen say, guys, I need you. I'm going to do what I got to do. Y'all got to do what you got to do. Let's roll. This is where we're going to find out if this offense that you were talking about is really going to do their part. But it starts with Josh Allen. He's the winter shoulder. That's why we brought him here. The cold weather, snow, that's why you're here. So let's go. We got to see it.
Rah-rah always reminds me of Grandma Bell, by the way. She used to have this cheer growing up. Sis, boom, ba. Hit him in the jaw. And I'll replace it. It was her high school, but Buffalo Bills, rah, rah, rah. She would always do that high school, the cheerleading growing up. I loved it. So that's what I think of every time.
Sis, boom, ba.
Sis, boom, ba. Hit him in the jaw. Buffalo Bills, rah, rah, rah.
Yo,
how about that?
Right there. That's right.
Wow, that's a banger. Speaking of bangers, it's our main man, Money Mitch.
Money Mitch.
He's saying if this offense does not score on this defense, that will be the biggest indictment on Brandon Beane. I completely flipped on Beane with the Waddle fumble. He can prove me wrong by winning the Super Bowl. Also, Bot, how about them Hoosiers? Oh, my God. Sorry, Mitch. I can't believe the kid missed a 20-yard field goal to tie that game. I cannot believe it. Mitch, I still think it's Ohio State's championship to lose. Credit to Kirk Cignetti. Credit to Mendoza, who looked phenomenal in that game. Indiana's defense was off the charts. Ohio State couldn't do anything. That was the best championship game of the day by far. And shout out to Indiana, who has completely turned that program around under Kirk Cignetti. It's unbelievable. We also have a new member, by the way, Rika. Jessica joining the Bing squad. Shout out to you, Jessica. Thanks so much for joining. And Mountain Man, our main man, James, got something you wanted to share.
Well, my man, Mountain Man, jumped in real quick, and he mentioned, more importantly, did Joe Brady come with a great game plan to allow these receivers to show what they're capable? And we talk about the players being able to play and doing what needs to be done, but it really comes down to, can you come up with a great game plan for Zach Taylor and these Bengals? Can you? There's no Lou Anarumo over there. It's Al Golden. All right. So figure something out. Let's find the advantage, just like you did last week. You found the advantage. You found the advantage. You ran the football. We killed it, and we did what we needed to do because you stuck to the game plan. Hopefully, our guy Joe Brady comes with a game plan that gets us what we need, which is a W.
You got 12 minutes till kickoff, which means you got 12 minutes to place your sleeper slip. Link in the description below. Click that, sign up and create an account. And once you do, you will immediately get a free $20 entry over on Sleeper. You can use it for Bills Bengals. You can use it for any of the awesome games coming your way this week 14 Sunday. Once you use the free $20 entry, use the promo code on your screen, BF25. That will get you a 100% match up to $100 on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper terms of use for details. Currently available in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper via the link in the description below. Rico, 10 minutes till kick. We got to make way for our main man, Pierre. Before we do, score prediction. What happens today in Orchard Park?
Low scoring, not going to be too high. I think it's going to be high teens, low 20s. So give me Bills need to win this one. So I'm going Bills. Yeah. Give me 24-17, 24-21 Bills. 24-21 Bills. Let's roll.
We are on a very similar wavelength. I have 27-24 Buffalo taking this game at home. I do think, 27-24, I don't think is necessarily low scoring. It's just lower scoring than what's being predicted. And I do think that that's right where I see this. And I think that's because we do see a little bit more running than maybe will be expected, but I got Buffalo winning it by 3. I hope we're both right. Dio coming in. Over under 4.5 wide receiver screens this game. Not reading that part. Go Bills. Dio. I think you gotta take the over until it loses. Nope. That's just the way it goes there. You have got to fire that over until you lose on it.
It's part of our identity. That's what we do. So give me the 4.5 for sure. And you know what? They like to say it's an extension of the run game. So be it. Just don't throw it behind the ball. Don't throw it behind the line. Don't fumble that sucker, and we're good to go.
Better question is over under 2.5 bot tweets bitching about the screen game. That's where you could put your money at right there. And I take the over on that too. Anyway, less than 10 minutes till kick. You're going to want to stay right where you are on the BF YouTube channel to hang out with our main man, Pierre, throughout the duration of Bills Bengals. When the game concludes, the post-game show begins. Rico and I will be back with you right here on the BF YouTube channel to recap everything we saw between Cincinnati and Buffalo in week 14. Rico, anything else for the folks before we sign off?
Sis Spa.
Hit him in the jaw. Buffalo Bills. Rah, rah, rah.
Shout out to Granny. Let's go. Let's get this done.
Much love. Enjoy the game. See you afterwards. Go Bills.